Hello, you are listening to Oops Spoilers, and this is a Those Other Girls media production. Okay, so Oops Spoilers is a podcast slash show on YouTube where we talk about movies, TV shows, sometimes books, review them, give it a TOG score, and just share our opinion. I'm saying our because eventually I'll have guests. I'm not schizophrenic. Okay. Today's movie is super highly anticipated. It's coming out late. Sorry about that. But I'm really excited to talk about it because I have so many thoughts, so many opinions that I'm excited to share. Okay. First, I want to remind everyone this show is called Oops Spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled, do not listen to this podcast. I'm going to try my hardest to kind of talk about it from a big standpoint without spoiling anything. And then I'm going to say a part like oops spoilers to then just talk freely. I'm doing it that way maybe for this episode and maybe one or two other ones in the future because I know this is highly anticipated. Like everybody really wants to know like how it was, and if you haven't seen it and you just kind of want to be like, okay, is it worth it? I want to be able to give you is it worth it type thing. Okay, so movie I'm talking about today is Don't Worry Darling. I was super excited to see this. First of all, I love a thriller, and I love drama in Hollywood because it has nothing to do with me. It doesn't involve me. It doesn't affect me at all. So I love to hear it. I find it very interesting. And we all know the Miss Flo and Shia and Olivia and the Harry of it all. So I was like, okay, all this hype around this movie. Let's go see. Let's see what this is. Okay, so here is the IMDb description. A 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company could be hiding disturbing secrets. This is a fantastic description. Probably one of the best. So as you guys know, the two stars are Harry Styles from One Direction / Harry Styles being a international superstar. My brother kept calling him the One Direction boy, and I'm like, he's so much more than One Direction right now. Like, he's his own thing. And I'm gonna say it. I didn't get the hype before. Now I get it. He looked fabulous. I mean, he looked so good in this movie. They had him, especially at the beginning, they had him looking sharp. I really liked how he had his hair. He looks good. Florence Pugh, amazing actress. I've only seen her in one other thing, which was Midsommar. I did not know how the movie was going to turn out. I would not necessarily recommend it. There is like a really messed up scene. And then like if you just like thriller, horror, it's fine. But there is one scene that's like really messed up and you're like, oh my goodness. But Homegirl killed it in that movie. She killed it in this. I think she did a fabulous job in this movie. And honestly, so I know that a lot of people are talking about, let's just talk about like the stuff that I don't have to spoil. A lot of people are talking about the acting. I personally think we all need to go in. We're expecting this to be a big blockbuster Inception. It's not like an Inception. I'm trying to think of another big blockbuster thriller. It's not Inception. It's not like this big, oh my God. It's nothing like that. We need to go lower in our expectations. Harry Styles was right when he said it is a movie. It is a movie. So I think if we all lower our expectations a little bit, everybody can come to realize, like, they actually, like, I thought the acting was fabulous. Harry, obviously, is his first time acting. He did not do as well as everyone else. One of my friends was saying how, he was like, if he had to rate everybody, Harry's would be at the bottom, which is okay. I mean, he's a pop star. He didn't start off acting, but I thought he did good. It was like one or two scenes I was like, ooh, I need your face to... He needed more direction, but as you guys know, he was having an affair with Olivia Wilde and gross. And, I guess he didn't she was too busy like making out with him. She couldn't direct him. Anyway, so also too, I cannot imagine Shia LaBeouf in this role. Honestly, I think Harry was a great casting. And I'll say it again, I get the hype over Harry now. I get it. At first I was like, no, because, I didn't really pay attention to him. I like that song, Sign of the Times. I really like that song. And then, he did the dress, and I was like, ugh, not attractive to me. Do not like guys. That's not a thing for me. Not a fan of guys in dresses. And then, the As It Was is popular on the Reels and TikToks. I'm like, as it was. So I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, that's Harry Styles. I was like, oh, that's Harry Styles? Okay. And then in this movie, I thought he was... Sorry, y'all. It's really cold here. I'm in North Carolina, and it's just really cold. And Harry Styles is As It Was, and I was like, okay. And then in the movie, I'm like, okay, homeboy is handsome fella. So anyway, I think that if you like thrillers, it's a good movie. I think you go in lowering your expectations a little bit, and I think go in kind of expecting any and everything, and I think you'll be good. It's a good movie, not great. I'll give you the score at the end. It's a good movie, not great. So, I talked to someone else about it. They asked me, like, what I thought. And she was like, oh, I guess I'll just see it for the $5 movie. I think it's a perfect $5 movie. I don't necessarily feel like I wasted my money, but I think if you're like, oh, what to watch for $5? Because, some movie theaters, like, on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, it's like $5. I don't feel like I wasted my money, but if I had to pick a movie, like, to pay $5 for, I'd pick that one. And I'd go, like, also too, I liked it. I really enjoyed the experience. So I would see it again. And I'll say, like, my brother, for example, like, he kept saying, not good, not good. He gave it a 0. I did not give it a 0. He gave it a 0. So, it really depends on your taste. I'm just going to give you my opinion, what I think. So, I mean, I would recommend it. I absolutely would recommend it. But I would just say go in not expecting a big blockbuster. I'll explain why after this. Because here we go. So, I hope I won't have to say to you, oops, spoilers. I don't know. I'm going to think of something funnier, cleverer to say than that. Okay, so now I'm going to get into, like, I'm just going to talk about it freely. If you have not seen the movie and you do not want any spoilers, stop where you are. Do not pass go. Stop. Do not, do not continue to listen. I'll give you a minute to click out of this. Okay, here we go. Ooh, spoilers. Okay, so I did like it. The twist at the end was crazy. I really liked how it was, and I did watch, just type in Don't Worry Darling review, the first and the second ones, I believe, and I'll try to link them if I forget to link it. It's on YouTube. I watched them and they kind of explained a couple things for me. So yeah. Okay. I'll just go over the whole movie. So it starts off Harry and I guess I should say their names. But the whole time in my head I just kept hearing Harry and Florence. Okay, so wait, you guys, I did not realize Bunny was Olivia Wilde in the movie. That's not how I pictured Olivia Wilde. That's crazy. Anyway, Alice and Jack are boyfriend and girl. They're married. They're like super. I'm saying boyfriend and girlfriend because they're like super in love and like having a good time. And they're like dancing with 2 other couples and they're just like enjoying themselves. Oh my goodness! And now that I'm thinking about a couple Easter eggs, okay, I'll bring that up later. But, they're enjoying themselves. They're dancing, having a good time. They're drinking. They're just enjoying themselves. And then it's the next day we see Alice is making her husband breakfast, bacon and eggs, and I want to say like toast. And it's super cute. It's like 1950. She's wearing the cute clothes. She gives him her coffee and she's like, oh, I don't want you to go to work. Like, oh, I'm going to miss you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. All this other stuff. And you're like, okay, that's kind of cute. and you see her interact with the neighbors and everything. So everything seems to be perfectly fine. Like, it seems like, honestly, it seems like the perfect utopia. And another thing about me is I love utopian, dystopian novels. Like, that especially when I was younger, that was pretty much like kind of all I read when I think about it. I love the Hunger Games, love the Ugly series. I can never remember the name of the series. I'm going to describe it really quick. It takes place in the future in a dystopia. And when your body dies, you can put your consciousness into like a robot, and then it just creates like robot people versus human people. I love that series. I can never remember the name. I have no idea why. But I love that type of stuff growing up. So, love utopian societies. There's like episodes of Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits that are kind of based off of that I love. I've written I haven't finished them, but over the years I've written 2 novels that are dystopian. Love it. So, they're living this life. What's so interesting about the society is the men drive in their cute little cars. They drive up to like the desert area, and they all go to work. So they're all living part of this thing called the Victory Project. And the Victory Project employs the men, and the women are able to like kind of chill. They don't have to work. So they're living my dream. Let's be honest. They're living my dream. You don't have to drive. That's the other part too. I'm like, don't have to drive. You don't have to drive. They have a little trolley that can take you to ballet, which is so funny too, because I'm like, oh man, I've literally been thinking like, I miss ballet. I'm going to lose a little bit more weight, and then I'm going to go do ballet again. I miss dancing. Like, it's so fun. You get to do that. Like, that's like part of your daily schedule. Everybody does ballet, and they do all of these really pretty, intricate things. You've seen them. You've seen the circles, and that's going to be important in a little bit. I'll explain. You've seen their circle formations and all this other stuff. We're introduced to somebody new. What else do we see? So, excuse me. So, also too, what's really cool, they can go to the mall and just be like, charge my card. They don't have to pay. And it's just like, oh, that's fun. And we kind of sort of get a sense of this girl. Let me remember her name. We get a sense of this girl. Her name is Margaret. Margaret and her husband are a little, that's interesting. Margaret and her husband, we see something's a little off with Margaret, and we figure out that something's not right. Margaret has seen something that we didn't see. I want to add too, like, that I will say is the problem why this will not get a 5 from me. Margaret had such an important role, and my brother pointed this out, and he was like, they didn't give us enough reason to care about her, but she plays such an important role, A. And B, Margaret, there were deleted scenes with Margaret in it. Like, lots of deleted scenes. So hopefully they'll release the Olivia Wilde cut. Hashtag release Olivia Wilde cut. Because there were like, you could tell there was something missing. And it was more of, like, integrating her story. So we find out that Margaret went crazy. What happened was they live in the desert, but they live in a really nice virtually it's virtually like a, I don't know, like a utopian, like, think of like almost like Leave It to Beaver type town, and they live on a cul-de-sac, which, I love. And you go further, and it's the desert. And you don't go to the desert. That's the one rule they have. Kind of like Eden, Garden of Eden. Interesting. So you can't go to this, and that's the one rule. You can't go over there. So Margaret went over there and saw something. We don't know what she saw, but we know it made her crazy. She was crazy. She had an outburst at this fancy dinner. Okay, so here is the first thing. There are 2 scenes that are inappropriate. Just a heads up on that. There's 2 inappropriate scenes. Another reason why I will not get a 5. And it is not full-blown sex. It is a step below sex. If you're listening, you can figure out what that is. If you want to message me, I can tell you what it is. I will not explain it, but I will tell you. It's a step below sex, right? So, okay, this is weird. At the party, because remember, they're this cute, fun, young couple. They do, like, cute, spontaneous things. And they go, and they're at their boss's house. They go, I think, in the bedroom, And Jack is trying on his boss's tie, and then Alice walks in, "What are you doing, baby?" And, doing all that stuff. And then he goes to perform the act on her, right? Y'all, the boss sees it in the mirror and tells her to, like, shush about it. And she's like, they're, like, staring at each other. It was the most uncomfortable thing. I don't know what was the purpose of that. Like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, why did that happen? That was weird. So, more time passed. A new girl and her husband come. Really cool. They're like, she's really shy and sweet and meek. And the guy's like super excited. He's so happy to be a part of this project. And they're doing something that's going to change the world. Like nuclear things that's going to change the world. So, the whole movie you're like, what could they possibly be doing? Because they go into this little like cave thing. It's out in the desert. Everybody drives their cars. And you're like, it must be like something rich. Or like it must be something like really important for them to be. Because essentially like they, live in these houses for free. They can charge, they charge the people, they charge the mall, like, so you're like, okay, what are they doing? So, okay, here's where everything starts to like go downhill for Alice. Alice sees a plane crash while she is on the trolley, and she's like, we have to go help the people, the plane crashed, we have to help them. And the guy's like, no, we can't. The guy driving the trolley's like, no, I can't. I have to stop here. I can't go further. She's like, no, the plane crashed. We have to help. So she gets out and walks over there. My brother made a very good point, and he was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you walk 30 minutes to check on a plane crash? Like, what are you going to do? And at first I was like, good point. But then I was like, no, I mean, some people, maybe she thought she could get help. Maybe she thought she could go up to where everybody was working and be like, hey, there's a plane that crashed. So she gets to the top. She touches, like, it looks like the dome to inside where everything is. She touches it, and then she blacks out, wakes up in her bed. And she wakes up to Jack cooking her dinner. So she's like, was I here? He's like, yeah. He's like, you were sleeping. And she's like, what? I don't remember this, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I saw a plane crash. And the guy's like, her husband's like, what? They would have told us of a plane crash. She's like, no, I saw a plane crash. And he's like, okay, babe, well, you just lay down. And some more time passed. She thinks it's a little weird, everything that's happening. And then she sees Margaret, the girl who was freaking out. She sees her cut her throat, so she unalives herself, and she falls off of this thing. I'm sorry, but before that, she starts having like these weird hallucinations. Like she's seeing these, when she closes her eyes, she's seeing all these like people dancing, and then she's like doing things, and like the wall is closing in on her. She's like just doing all things are just kind of being weird. Like it's like weird stuff is happening. She's like, okay, why is this happening? So she is doing at her ballet class where they're doing their stuff, and she looks in the mirror and she sees Margaret. So she like has a panic attack. She runs home, and she gets to her house. She lives right beside Margaret, and Margaret like slits her throat and falls off. So she sees that. So the people who I guess we're assuming they're people who kind of like help the town, like make sure everybody's safe or whatnot, come and grab Margaret, and they grab her and pull her away. And she passes out again, and like she's telling Jack, her husband, like, I saw her. And they're like, no, she fell. She hurt her wrist. She fell. Like, no, I'm telling you, I did it. And she's like, no. Well, he like isn't really believing her, and they have to get ready for this big dinner that the boss is throwing. Okay. This scene was a teensy bit cringe. So they get dressed up, everybody, and I mean the fashion, fabulous. Loved the dresses, the coats, like everybody just looks so nice. The men look fabulous. Nick Kroll is on it, and I do not know why, but I do not like Nick Kroll or the guy who plays this the speed guy. Oh, gosh, what is his name? And the guy from Invincible. I do not like Nick Kroll and the guy from Invincible. I'm so sorry. Invincible. I have to. I don't really like Seth Rogen either, but that's not who I'm thinking of. Okay, cool. Oh, Justin Roiland was in that show. I didn't know. Oh, and Mae Whitman. Oh, Gillian Jacobs. I'm so sorry I'm taking this detour. Jason Mantzoukas. I do not like Nick Kroll or Jason Mantzoukas. I don't know, something about them. Whenever I hear their voice, they have distinct voices. Distinct voice. Whenever I hear their voice, I'm like, oh, God. I mean, they do great, but I just, something about them. Anywho, so, everybody's there. They're at this dinner, and the men look handsome, the girls look handsome. This was like, okay. So the wife of the owner, he goes, I have a surprise, something for you. And it's like this showgirl doing like a striptease in like a martini glass. It was like, ugh, okay. Wouldn't do that for my husband. Gross. So that happens. And then he goes, I don't normally do this, but I want to, I need Jack to come up here. Back up. So while she's doing the striptease, there's also other girls dancing. Well, one of the girls' faces that's dancing is one of the faces that Alice sees when she's like hallucinating, like having her paranoia, all that other stuff. Y'all. Okay. So, okay. So she starts like having a panic attack, essentially. She's like being like, oh my God, something's not right. Oh my God, something's not right. That's what she's thinking. Well, then they call Jack up on stage. I'm going to make you part of the inner circle. Like, you're being promoted. And they ask him to dance, and he does this like really cringe dance. Like, I'm sure there's gonna be memes and like GIFs of it. There has to be. He's like doing this really cringe dance. I can't even describe it in front of everybody, and it looks like one of those things where it's like, dance, monkey, dance. Like, that's kind of the vibe it gave off. I was like, okay, Harry. I'm guessing they had to have him dance because like he's Harry Styles. Like, you can't have him in a movie and he doesn't dance. But it was just like really cringe. So then Alice has this huge panic attack and goes to the bathroom. And her friend comes after her, Bunny, and Bunny's like, what's wrong, sweetie? Like, it's going to be okay. And she's like, I have to tell you, like, I saw this. Can I just show you there's a play? And Bunny's like, stop it. You're sounding crazy. Stop. I do not believe you. All this other stuff. I believe before this, I forgot a very important part. Before this all happens, though, they try to get her some help. And this therapist comes in and, like, is trying to offers her medication, and she doesn't want to take the medication, and her husband backs her up on that. And he's like trying to tell her, like, hey, like, you're paranoid. Like, you didn't see her slit her throat. It was probably traumatic for you. You probably felt trauma from seeing her fall down, right? So then she sees that Margaret's classified medical information is in his briefcase. He leaves his briefcase. She grabs the file, reads it. It's all redacted. So she learns nothing from it. So she ends up burning it, and she's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay, so then the scene after that is the party scene. So that dance party scene happens, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to invite, let's invite him over, the boss over, to our dinner place. So she invites him over, and then some other friends, and like the new couple, and then not Bunny, because Bunny saw her had the panic attack, but like her other two friends that she had, and then that new couple. So they're all enjoying dinner, and then she starts like berating him, asking questions about like, one of the questions was like, where did you guys meet? And then almost everybody had a similar place where they met. Where did you honeymoon? They all had a similar place where they honeymooned. Where were you before this? They had a similar place where they were before this. She's like, weird coincidence. We get all of our food from you guys. Da, da, da. So she's saying all this stuff. And then the wife of the owner, so she's looking at the owner while she's saying this. She's sitting at the head table. The owner's sitting at the other head. And the wife's like, stop it, you're accusing my husband of doing all these things, you're this or you're that, blah, blah, blah. And then they're making her seem crazy and everything, and she's like, no, I'm not, I'm telling you, something is not right about this. So then everybody leaves, right? So then so Alice and Jack are left, and she's like, we have to go, like, right now, please, we have to go right now. And he's like, all right, you're right, we have to go. She's like, okay, thank you so much. I love you. Like, we'll just find some place, just the two of us. All I care about is I don't care where we are. She says this, I don't care where we are as long as the two of us. Remember, that's important. So she goes to pack, and he's already in the car. She goes to get in the car, and she's like, okay, baby, you gotta drive. Well, those people that took away Margaret are coming. And I knew it. Like, how did she not see this coming? I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. So they grab her, and she's like screaming. She's like, I'm like, okay, I won't, like, she's like, I won't start the pot anymore. Please. I don't want to go. And he's just saying, I'm sorry. It's actually like really sad. My brother looked up at me. He's like, I know you're not crying. I'm like, well, it's a sad scene. Like, she's being taken off. I was like, I'm sorry. And he's crying too. He's like, I'm sorry. It's actually, it was really sad to me. So they take her off away. And then this is where we find out what the heck is happening. You guys are not going to believe this unless you've already seen it. If you have not seen it and you're just watching this because you're not going to see it, here we go. Okay, so this is what happens. This is like what's going on. We find out through a series of events that Jack is actually a loser. He lost his job, and he's lazy and won't get another job. So he spends all day listening to podcasts and on Discord servers, and we hear a podcast ad for the Victory Project, where you are sent back to the 1950s, where your woman is happy and like women know their place. It says something like that. Women know their place and the role. And we see that Alice is a doctor. She worked 30-hour shift or something like that. 30 hours, not right. She worked a long shift, and she had to get back up in like 6 hours or something like that. So she didn't really want to like make out, and she was hoping that he had made dinner, because she's super tired and everything. And she sounded miserable. They live in this shack that they couldn't pay for their hot water. The hot water didn't come back. It's not a shack. It's like a rundown apartment building. Like, you can see they were like not off well. So Jack finds. So that's what's the background. Jack signs up for the Victory Project, knocks her over the head, and ties her down in a bed, and has like these things to keep her eyes open, and has an IV in her, and like feeds her water through a rag, because it's all like a made up simulation type thing. Like it's all in your head. Like, this whole like 1950s like perfect life is not real. It's fake. So we find that out. Y'all, I was shooketh. I really like the concept. My brother was like, oh, it's been done before, blah, blah, blah. I really like the concept. I liked that. That's why I'm disappointed with, I felt like they could just do, it was just something they could have taken a little bit further, because that's such a good idea. So we find this out. She's in that place, so they take her away, and they're doing shock therapy, and we find out like all that stuff, that's all to hypnotize her, to like get her brain to like to be more susceptible. So she comes back eventually, and she seems to be fixed, but then something happens, and she starts to remember what was going on. And she's like, tell me the truth, Jack, tell me the truth. And he's like, I'm sorry. And like, I would have folded. He was like, I'm sorry, I love you, you're so much happier here, we're happier, we're together. He gets on his knees apologizing to her. He's like, I'm so sorry, like, I thought this was what was best for us. And she's like, why wouldn't you tell me? She's like, I had my own life, I was doing my own thing. Like, she's all this complaining. I'm like, girl, you can buy whatever you want for free. You don't have to drive anywhere. Your husband is on his knees begging you for forgiveness. He literally would do anything for you, and you're sitting here whining and complaining. So she's like, he's like, please, holding on to her. And then, y'all, she hits him over the head with a glass and kills him. And when you die in this virtual world, you die in real life. So he's like laying on her, and Bunny walks in and is like, what did you do? Whose blood is that? And she's like, I'm sorry. But he's like, you've got to go. They're going to kill you. She's the one who explains, like, if you die on this thing, you're going to die in real life. Like, you've got to go. You've got to go. And he's like, wait, you know? And she's like, yes, I know. And it's actually sad. She's there. She knows because she is able to be with her kids. Her kids are there. And she kind of complains about them a little bit. But you can tell she, like, I don't know. Like, her kids have died. And, like, they're the kids there. So, and the kids on the, well, I'll get to that in a second. So, there's this chase scene. Everybody's chasing her, trying to get her. The next part is, like, pretty irrelevant. They're trying to get her. She finally reaches to the top, touches the thing to get out, and then, like, I think it shows her, like, flickering in the bed, and then fade to black. All right. Here we go. The score. I'm giving it a 3. I almost gave it a 2.5. It's good, not great. Definitely not excellent. The reason why I went from 2.5 to 3 is because, like I said, some of those YouTube videos kind of explained some of the stuff that was going on that made it more interesting to me. So it wasn't like it just made it more interesting to me. I really, a couple of things that, like, also made it be good, not great. At the beginning, they definitely tried to give Harry an American accent, and I guess it was just so bad because he's not an actor. He's a singer. He's not an actor. Hopefully, in a couple years, if this is his dream, this is what he wants to do, he'll eventually be an actor. But right now, homeboy is not an actor. So he kind of had an American accent at the beginning, and then they made him British, and they brought it up like 2 or 3 times to, like, kind of play it off, I guess. So that was funny. That was one of the things. Like I said, it was right there, but it just never went. It could have been so much more. There's a lot of deleted scenes, apparently, like, lots of deleted scenes. So hopefully they'll release it, and then it'll probably be more of a complete picture. I don't know why they wouldn't include the deleted scenes. I don't know. We'll see how all of that goes, like, in the future. But, I mean, it has the potential. The concept has the potential to go further. Those are, like, kind of the main reasons why, like, I couldn't give it a 4. It's just, it was missing something, and there's, like, a couple of things. Like I said, there was a moment where Harry's face could have been, like, it was completely blank, and he needed to show emotion in that scene. It was a lot of confusion around the airplane, like, where did the airplane come from? And I was listening to someone else talk about it, and he was saying that when you are in a coma, your brain will, like, kind of make things up, and the idea was that, like, maybe where she was, there was a plane that flew, so her mind, like, kind of made her fly. And then all of the, like, weird things that were going on, it wasn't really clear, like, what was going on, but all of the circular motions, like, this is what made it a 3 instead of 2.5, though. Another thing, the circular motions thing is, like, hypnotizing. And I thought that was, like, a cool, like, add-on, like, a cool, like, extra layer to it. Yeah, so that's the review. I think she was crazy because it looked like a perfect life. Oh well, like, I'm tied up, super dried lips. I mean, her lips were dry. Oh well, I'm super tied up, dry lips. At least I'm living my dream life for a little bit. I don't know. Like, and I will say, so the other reason why I couldn't be a 4 is because, like, I'm not sure the message went the way she thought it was going to be. If she had not made that life so perfect, I think, because it really seems like, okay, you do that for a couple of years, get your self-esteem up, work on your marriage, like, you're enjoying yourself, and then, go back to the real world, like, is that really wrong? Like, and also too, it's virtual reality. So what was happening was, the wives were staying home, and the men had to go out and get jobs to pay to be in the program. So when they were driving off into the area where they're supposedly working, they were exiting the game to work, and the women were just kind of chilling, having fun, enjoying their lives, as women. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, like. And he was so sorry. Like, you can tell he loved her so much. There's so many people who, like, disagree. They're going to say, oh, he was manipulative, blah, blah, blah. I thought he loved her. And I thought it was a weird way to show he loved her. He really should have explained what was going on. But, I mean, she was a doctor, so she probably wouldn't have wanted that. Well, she said she wouldn't have wanted that. But couldn't be me. I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess. Like, I guess I'll wear cute clothes all day, hang out with my friends, do ballet, swim. I guess I'll do that while you work and I don't have to lift a finger. Oh, I guess I'll do it. You know, like, yeah. So that was like the vibe of it, because it was kind of like, what was the message here? Like, were we supposed to feel sorry for her? Because she kind of messed up a good thing. I don't know. You guys tell me if you watched it. Let me know. Do you feel sorry for her? Like, would you have kept with that? Would you have forgiven Jack/Harry? I certainly would have, especially, and he looked like that. And he was willing to do any and everything for her. Someone also pointed out that the two scenes that we do see that are of sexual nature, he is doing stuff to her. So it's also like, I mean, what more could she want? And I guess the message was supposed to be, but she isn't able to be a doctor that she can probably be when she gets out of this thing. I don't know. Anyway, you guys, that's the review. Let me know what you think, if you saw it, if you enjoyed it, all that jazz. Bye.